This is the Joltshooter, and let me show you how to build a close combat bow build, bringing a devastating crowd control, heavy debuffs, and real fun to play. And most importantly, how does it even work? We'll be using the Joltshooter, the one bow you probably missed in Act 1. Thunderous Strike from Tempest Cleric and Spirit Guardians with 5-6-1 multiclassing route. All of them are bound by lightning charges from the Joltshooter passive when we land a shot. Then, Thunderous Strike pushes enemies back on our next shots and all our attacks, including Spirit Guardians, as long as it contains lightning damage on it, which is we get from the lightning charges. The main purpose here is to make enemies struggle to even touch us or get close. They get knocked back, slowed by Spirit Guardians, or even prone when we combine with several items. Although it doesn't work sometimes, but when it does, so hilarious and amazing. With that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Now that we know we need an archer class, fighter doesn't get a spell slot, bards don't have the archery fighting style, so we are definitely going for 5 levels in ranger to get extra attack and archery fighting style and spell slot progression. I'm specifically going for Swarmkeeper ranger. I need that exclusive misty step to be more agile, more movement to run around the battlefield so we can hit as many enemies as possible with spirit guardians or slip away or get some distance, because we're still archers by the way. This subclass is honestly a game changer for ranger. And of course, I need that archery fighting style because we want to actually hit the enemies more than anything to activate lightning charges first and foremost. Now, we jump to 6 levels in cleric to pick up spirit guardians, create water, and thunderbolt strike from the 6th level passive. This will be our bread and butter, the ability to knock enemies back with the lightning damage which we get from lightning charges when we attack with the Joltshooter. And it even works with spirit guardians. I also mentioned create water since lightning damage reacts to it water, so you might as well grab it, but it's completely optional. Just be careful not to step on wet surface. And for the last level, I'm definitely not going for Ranger 6. There is nothing beneficial we can grab there. More cleric levels would give us more spell options, but Sorcerer is actually really interesting here. Starting our first level as Sorcerer gives us con save proficiency, and we are highly dependent on concentrating on Spirit Guardians, so that's huge. And we still get the spell slots, unlike the fighter. Also, we get free flight ability if we pick Storm Sorcery subclass. As a bonus action, we can fly around to hit more enemies with Spirit Guardians, and it thematically fits perfectly with the Tempest Cleric. And it doesn't stop there, we get the shield spell. God, an absolutely godly defensive spell, especially since we really don't want to get hit in the first place. And there you go, our whole progression list for the multiclass. We'll be taking ranger levels first, just be the good old archer shooting from a distance with Hunter's Mark. Always remember, martial classes are superior to casters in the first 5 levels. As we progress, around level 7 to 10, we respec and get at least 5 levels in cleric, open with spirit guardians, then fire arrows in the subsequent rounds, and that's where our scaling starts to feel better than just plain archery. Finish off your ranger levels for Misty Step and extra attack, and then respec again to grab con save proficiency. And there you have it, the whole multiclass. Next for our ability scores, definitely max out dexterity for the bow and constitution for, well, concentrating on spirit guardians. Some of you might think Botin Con is enough with con save proficiency, but yeah, I'm not taking any chances. For the feat, I'm still getting sharpshooter even though it drops our hit chance by 5, and that's a lot, especially in the early game. So I might not grab it immediately at level 4, maybe take warcaster or bump my dexterity first, then pick up sharpshooter on the next feat. Feel free to choose any race you like, but I do recommend for races with higher movement speed. For me, I just picked Shadowheart for this build. This build mainly focuses on Joltshooter, but I know most people probably overlook this weapon, so there is a way to play this build and bypass Joltshooter entirely. We'll still use lightning charges, this time from the Speedy Light feat and a bonus action dash from Rogue. I know you won't get extra attack, but you gain more movement and sneak attack in exchange. I highly suggest stacking up some arrow of many targets. You might miss the first hit, but you get a higher chance with the ricochet effect from those arrows. Next, Spirit Guardians is highly dependent on your movement speed, so items that bump your movement speed is always a nice addition. Elixir of Peerless Focus, more saving throws are great, helps maintaining your concentration, and higher armor class just makes us even harder to hit. And of course, the Luminous Armor, often paired with Radiant damage builds. Now for gloves, boots, and rings, I've got two options. You can go the good old Reverberation combo. These are great debuff items, lowering enemy saving throws, especially for bosses, and possibly make them prone from our Radiant and Lightning damage. Or you can go with what I call Ice Ice Baby setup, leans into different and even more crowd control. I think most of you have already seen this trick with the Drake Throat Glyph infuse. Put the Ice Elemental on the Joltshooter for some extra cold damage. With that, the ring creates these tiny icy surfaces on each hit, possibly causing them to go prone and making them even harder to move around you on that slippery floor. And crusted with frost can make them vulnerable to bludgeoning, thunder, and force damage according to the wiki, so it's pretty nice if you've got a monk and a warlock in your party. On the first round, I usually shoot a few arrows first rather than casting Spirit Guardians right off the bat. The AI tends to focus whoever is concentrating on a spell, so I don't want to get picked off and have to recast Spirit Guardians over and over. Let your Barbarians take the hits first, then cast it on the second round. After that, go to town. This build can fill the role of crowd control, debuffer, and a hitter. Spirit Guardians might not be the strongest crowd control spell, but it'll definitely give your enemies a hard time. That's why I classify this more of a hitter. We deal the initial damage and soften them up, then let your rogues, monks, or any burst build finish them off. And with the combination of items I mentioned, we are constantly applying debuffs, radiating up to quote-unquote tanking, and Reverberation messes with their saving throws, or encrusted with frost. Man, these items become a real game changer. Thank you, Papa Larian. The downside is, this probably won't catch up to your good old-fashioned archery builds, at least in terms of raw damage. And I bet most people will not pick the Joltshooter bow because that staff just looks way more appealing. But if you ever need a long-range support, crowd control, and debuffer, this build is the way to go. And of course, it's super flavorful and honestly hilarious if you just wanted to switch up your gameplay for a bit. That's it for the video. Thank you for reaching this far. I hope you found what you were looking for. Hope this video was insightful and maybe you found something here to flavor your next BG3 playthrough. Thank you for those who've subscribed and I'll see you next time.